think yeah, I suspect we'll get a few more people jumping in. I'm sorry that probably load shedding here in South Africa might also be affecting people getting on, but hopefully we'll get a few more people as we go along. So just to welcome you to the fireside chat this evening with our special guest, Susan Caplan. Really looking forward to hearing Susan's advice on how to leverage your profile, yourself, your company. And yeah, this is going to be a really useful and engaging session, I think. Please, everybody, jump in and ask questions as we go along. But just to introduce you to Susan, Susan is based in Chicago with SC Associates. Her company has been operating for at least the last 20 years within her own company, specializing in marketing and communications. She's an advisor to Women and Drones, also to the Northwestern University Kellogg School of Management, and I believe engaged on other committees. Sorry, I haven't got the committee details in front of me at the moment, but yes, pretty much an author, a speaker, and a consultant on marketing and communications. So over to you, and thank you very much for joining us, Susan.
Thank you so much. And please, anybody that has questions along the way, just chime in. I do tend to speak quickly because I want to make sure there's time for questions at the end. So you don't feel bad if you want to just, raise your hand or say something. I'm going to bring up some slides and hope that it works again. We did it earlier. It seemed to. There we go. Is it showing?
Yes, it is.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, thank you, Louise, for inviting me, and it's good to see you and Sharon and Desi and everybody else that I've known from before. And I believe, Louise, you saw me speak at Coffee Connect and thought this might be helpful for your team, so I'm really hoping it is. And I'm Susan Caplan, and I help businesses and individuals tell their story, build their brands, and stand out from the competition. I'll share my contact information at the end of this presentation, but whether you're looking for a new job, looking to grow a business, your brand is critical to meeting your goals. So with that, let's get started. I've seen it over and over again. You have innovative individuals with amazing ideas and amazing products or services, but they don't get anywhere because they can't market themselves. Or they're pursuing a job and they can't tell their story or articulate the value that they bring. Your brand is how you're identified. It's your trademark. It's your professional DNA. So it would be your name, your personal name. That's part of your brand and your business. So these are some brands that I'm not sure. I think they're being shown over in your area, I hope. But these are very popular, large brands, large companies with great logos and taglines. And everybody usually sees these and knows who these people are. Many people, I don't know how many of you check, the stock exchange every day to see how your money's doing, or you check your finances in your bank account every day. But I bet most of you don't check your brand every day, which is also making you money. And you need to think of your brand as your stock. And some days your stock will go up and others it will go down, but it's really how you measure your success. High achieving companies and individuals all have one thing in common. They're just very, very strategic with their brand. They always know who their audience is. They know what their needs are, how to reach them, and the value of their brand at all times. And they review this information over and over. And a really great brand attracts business by telling their story easily and having it repeated easily. So let's take a look at some successful brands, see how they leverage them. And the first one is about a person here in the United States. I don't know if he's popular by you, and I apologize if he's not, but he had great success doing a grassroots marketing and branding plan. His name is Jay Leno. I'm not sure if you've seen him, but he's, he was a comedian and he ran a show, and but when he started out, it was really hard for him to get notoriety. There was just so many people competing for the top billing in comedy clubs and getting into the entertainment industry. And especially back when he started, there was no internet. And so he had to really do a very grassroots effort. And so he decided to look at it, think differently. And instead of going to the places everybody else was going to perform, he went to the college campuses and he performed on all the college campuses. And the word of mouth that spread from college students is what allowed him to gain notoriety and have people end up knowing him and him doing so well in his industry. There's a brand also here that we have, and it's a brand that does virtually no advertising at all. And I don't know, Louise, if you have Trader Joe's there?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Well, Trader Joe's is a trusted brand here. They're growing. They have very unique food items. And so they do, but they do little or no advertising. And so, in fact, I checked, they're actually carrying 8 African inspired products right now that are doing incredibly well. But they are another true grassroots marketing effort to this day. They send out a flyer and cooking tips, and they're on Facebook and Instagram, and that's it. The rest of their efforts are put into charities. So they put a lot of work into helping after school programs in local communities, helping to fight breast cancer. And they educate the individuals working at their store so they buy into the brand and they feel really part of it. Because of that, it's becoming one of the fastest growing brands here. There is also another brand I'll bring up. This brand has grown so much, and I'm pretty sure you'll know it, but it never says the name of the company, and you can't find the name of the company anywhere on their website except in their domain name. And it's Apple. And it's amazing to me how much they've grown, but the logo, they've gotten so big that their logo tells their whole story with no words. Really, really sells innovative technology, and people believe them and they have a trusted brand. Now, this next company is actually a drone company, and their name is Tavel Aerobotics Technologies. They come out of Israel, and they created the next generation of harvesting robots, and they expanded into California here in the United States. Their mission is to help with the harvest labor shortage. We have a real problem here of not having enough people to go in and harvest crops. And they've come out with this drone that literally, as you can see from the picture, will pick off fruit. And they can pick fruit 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They don't have to let people go home and sleep. They don't have to pay for weekends. Like, it's an amazing tool. It makes me sad. People are going to lose their jobs because of this, but that's really an innovative way to use technology. So these are just 4 companies I pulled out that I thought have done an extraordinary job of building their brand. And so now I want to just go through really quickly 4 simple steps you can do about how you can build and leverage your personal brand. Step 1 is the product. It's really, what are you selling? What's your story? What sets you apart from everyone else? Things like that. So you really want to do is break out your audiences and make sure your audiences are hearing the story you want to tell. Align where you want to be, and just go through your skills and your strength. Make sure you understand how people perceive you. And is it aligned with your advertising and marketing and even tagline, so that people know that when you say, you know, something that it aligns with what you're selling. You can use if personally you're trying to sell your service, and not just your company. Maybe you're trying to get out and do more speaking, or trying to get a job even. You can use personal achievements to launch your success and your knowledge in something. Oh, Sam Scully just came in, I see. So hey Sam. So you know, I had someone that was sitting in the audience about when I was speaking once somewhere, and he said, I'd have to tell you, and he was a college student actually, and he said, I also wrote a book. I had just written my first book. And I said, that's fascinating. He said, yeah, he was in school to become an accountant. And he said, but I love baseball, and I always played softball and little league and all these things. So he wrote a book while he was in college on how to help your kid get into little league or get into baseball. And he called someone who was playing on one of our big league teams here and said, do you mind putting my book on your website? And this player said, of course. And this college student ended up selling thousands and thousands of books while he was in school and made some money. So you just never know how you can expand your personal and professional brand. The key is to always bring your professional A game when you go anywhere. Like we're in this situation here. Always be ready to talk about what your product is and what you're trying to accomplish. And because people are looking at you, even when you don't know they're looking at you, whether you're sitting in a meeting or you're sitting in a web virtual meeting like this. So you just need to be prepared for all those things. Step 2 is the packaging. Does everything align to tell your story? So you need to learn to tell your story verbally, and you need to tell your story non-verbally. So if you go verbally, really, if you don't tell people what to say about you, they'll make something up. So you need to make sure that your elevator pitch, your phone message, it all aligns with the story you've been telling. And when you answer the phone, do you answer it professionally? Do you make sure there's no noise in the background, right? How do you tell your story? Are you succinct with it? Are you comfortable with it? How do you say your name? It's amazing to me when I sometimes meet people, they will say their name so fast I can't understand it. And yet your name is your brand. So it's really important, especially, you know, internationally. I may not understand how to say your name correctly, or you may not understand how to say mine. So it's important that we get in the habit of saying our name clearly and very comfortably so other people understand it. If your nonverbal communication, if you're looking for a job, well, that's your resume and your biography and your cover letter. If you have a business, it's the packaging you have, your website, your logo, your tagline. Do they all say the same thing? When I look on LinkedIn, on your story there, is it the same story I'm seeing when I look on your website? And so sometimes there's no connection, and I get confused by that. So I really think that that's something that everybody can connect the dots on what they're doing. How you use Zoom. I mean, be aware of what's going on in your picture. I'll be honest with you. My first Zoom call, I had a different background. I put one of those up from the Zoom library, and then I forgot the second time, and somebody kept commenting on my guitar in the background, which Louise and I were just talking about. And we got into this fabulous conversation, but I realized this was many, many meetings ago. Like, it kind of was a conversation breaker when I sit and talk to people. So I've always left it there, and I've always used it. And I don't think I've ever had a meeting where someone didn't bring it up. So it's sometimes you can control the environment, and so that people feel comfortable, so that they feel comfortable talking to you even. Your appearance and your image, when people see you, are you looking the part? You know, Desi always, her brand is pink, and she wears her pink shirt and proud, and everything you see has the pink in it. And Do your business cards reflect who you are, and your photos and your digital presence all along? So all these little things that you might think, oh, I hate this social media site, or I don't like working LinkedIn. I'm just going to throw my information out there. You can't do that, because that's part of your brand and people will see that. The third thing that you'll do is the launch, right? Boosting your professional footprint, right? And that means making an impression. But how does that happen? It's really, you need to hit your target audience over and over and over again, so you become the influencer, you become the industry expert. Are you writing blogs so that it reflects your voice? Are you sharing results and success stories with individuals when you're meeting them? Are you offering to speak at different events, even this type of an event, or local business events? Are you displaying photos of you? Even on LinkedIn, you could put a photo of you at a charity event that you're supporting. That would tell me a story about who you are and what you support. Testimonials, third-party endorsements are fantastic. And learn to collaborate with people. There's an old saying that if you want to get someplace the fastest, do it alone. But if you want to get the farthest, do it as a team. And you have the opportunity right now with this group to team up, to partner up, just to launch something so you can support each other and move forward even quicker than you are now. So next I wanted to show was a few companies that have very strong logos. And these three companies are actually using drones right now and are collaborating with drone companies. So that's another opportunity. You can reach out to larger corporations, see if you can get some funding through them. They usually have deeper pockets than we do. So, GE is the General Electric company here. And they are using drones to inspect the power lines. And I understand you have a little bit of a power problem going on in South Africa, so you might want to sell your services to help with that. Coca-Cola, they're helping employee recognition by delivering cans of Coke with thank you notes to construction workers in buildings. Red Bull is producing action sports films using drones, and they're partnering with influencers. So you can see there's so many opportunities that sometimes we just are so busy looking straight ahead that we forget that there's so many other opportunities that we can participate in. The next step is really metrics, which you should be doing with everything you do. So how do people perceive me? That's the product. And you should be asking these same questions over and over every 6 months. How do people perceive me? And then if they're not perceiving you, take a poll, ask people and find out what they're thinking. And if it's not aligning with how you want them to perceive you, getting angry about that doesn't help. You have to change the way you're doing things to get people to perceive you differently. Does my brand align with my business goals, right? Is my packaging, my personal packaging, my product packaging, my website, everything people are seeing and hearing from me align with the goals I want? Is it going to help me make money? Is it going to help me build my business, expand, things like that? Which marketing efforts are working, right? Have you tried doing some marketing and it's not one and done. It's got to be a consistent, ongoing drumbeat of marketing that happens. And what tactics do you need to change? This is where you refresh what you're doing and say, okay, I need to regroup a little bit so that I can move forward and make things a little bit different. So I just in conclusion, the Navy SEALs are part of what we have. They're the highest level group of military here in the United States, and they're incredibly disciplined group. But they taught me something. I learned a story. I was reading an article, and one of the Navy SEALs said that the way he lives his life, it's so successful because he learned to every day make his bed. That's the first thing he does. And he explained how that if I get up and I immediately make my bed and it looks perfect, then I feel like I've taken the first step to succeeding at something and achieving something every single day. And it launches me into doing even more. So with that, I wanted to just say, be strategic, be disciplined, be tenacious, be a SEAL. And I'm still trying to get to the point where I make my bed every single morning. The other, one of the other things I learned that I'll share with you is someone taught me years ago, between 8 and 8:30 in the morning, when you're still sort of fresh, they called it Strive for 5. And between 8 and 8:30 every day, I reach out to 5 people. And that's how you also keep building relationships. I go onto LinkedIn, I see who's I currently have connections with, and I find someone I haven't talked to in a while, and I'll send them a quick message. Saw your name pop up, just thought I'd say hi, how are things going? That way you stay top of mind to some critical people in your world. And it doesn't take much time, or I send out a new invitation. But if I don't put time aside each day to do that, it's just not going to happen. So that's another thought you might want to take. Let's see, I just messed up this. Here we go. Now I'll try to get back to where we were. Sorry about that. And this is just to let you know my name. And, I'll be happy to honor the brand image session, which I'm doing for Women in Drones, $45 for 30 minutes. If you want to connect up for that, please just send me a quick email and I'll get you set up with that. And here's all my contact information. Please reach out to me on LinkedIn. I would love to connect with you if I haven't already. And I'll tell you, my brand happened very unexpectedly. I'll leave you with this thought. It was when I started my business, and Louise and I also were talking about this a little bit earlier, I just jumped, and that's how I work best. And so all of a sudden I was going to networking events, and I realized, Susan, you need to get a business card. And so I went, and I like purple, so I made the back of my business card purple, and the front was just black and white. This is in the year 2000. People weren't doing fun things with their business cards. And I thought, well, if everybody made fun of me for the purple business card, I will never use it again. Well, as it turned out, I went to networking events where there were a lot of other people doing marketing assistance and consulting like I was doing. But when I followed up with people, they said, oh, you're the purple lady. And I thought, you know what? I like being the purple lady because you remembered me. So it became my brand. When I wrote my first book, It's Purple. There's a chapter on becoming purple, which means stand out from the competition. So I want you to find your purple. And with that, questions. We can go to questions today.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Susan. I love that. Find your purple. That's excellent. Excellent. And in terms of questions, I know Desi had one here. And I also had the same question that I wrote down for myself was, what are some of the ways you suggest finding out how others perceive you?
Yeah, so what we typically do, at least I see people do, is they'll go to people that they've known for a very long time, or friends or family, and they'll say, how do I look, or how do I sound, or whatever. The problem is sometimes if people have known you the longest, they already have a perception of who you are in their mind. And you may not get that fresh, crisp look that you would get from a new client, a potential client, let's say that. So I will every so often reach out to some people I know on LinkedIn, but don't really know. You know how sometimes you connect with people and just say, do you mind if I just do a quick test market with you on something? Or what are your thoughts when you see this? Or how does this come across to you? Or I'll reach out to other people I might have met at some networking events. And again, people I don't know very well, and I'll offer my assistance to them. But if you don't do that periodically, you can get lost in thinking you know how other people perceive you, but they don't. But it's not what you want to be or where you want to head.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, it's a difficult one because also people can maintain a perception about what you do that's wrong. You've moved on. from that as well. I mean, that used to be the excuse for moving jobs. If you started job at a particular level, you needed to change jobs so you could jump up levels, because otherwise people maintain the same perception. That's what I remember anyway.
No, it's true. And, you know, this happens to people when they're looking for jobs. Is there someone else talking to me?
I think so. I think Sam might be on.
So let me make sure I'm on mute. I couldn't figure out how to
Hi,
mute myself.
Sam. Hey, Sam,
Oh,
we
it's
can hear you.
reverbing. It's me. Okay.
Oh, thanks.
Sometimes I see when people are looking for jobs, they'll say, well, my parents said I can't go after this job because I don't have a degree in that. Or my friends were like, even when I started my own business, I had people say, you can't start your own business. You didn't get a business degree. And I have a whole chapter in my book on nix the naysayers, because while people mean well, they're only seeing you through their lens, and you need to like remove yourself from that. You need to, in order to move forward, you may or may not be achieving the brand you want to get, but at least you need to keep running toward that finish line, or you'll never get there. Same thing with your business. You know, you can turn to your husband or wife or somebody and say, how does this look? Or how does this look? But they're not seeing you, you know, as a professional business person. I recently worked with someone and she said, oh, I got a new picture for LinkedIn. What do you think? And it was a lovely picture of this individual, but she looked like she was really going on a dating site. And I said, you know, you look lovely, but she goes, well, my husband took it of me and he said, I look so pretty in this blouse. And I said, yeah, but your husband isn't your target business market. And he sees you as his girl, and you need to be seen as a professional. So sometimes we just need to, you know, you need to just keep like revising your thoughts and how you're going to make sure other people see you in the way you want to.
Sure. No, good point. Hey, do you have a link for your book? That's come. Desi's asked that as well.
Oh, thank you. I'm rewriting it. I redid it about 6 months ago, and it's been updated again because things are changing so quickly right now. So I will send out a link to all of Women in Drones once it's completely updated, and then you can all sign up if you'd like.
Great. Oh, thank you.
Thank
That
you.
would be
Thank you.
fantastic. Yeah. Yes, I can appreciate things changing so fast. I mean, with social media as well, that the need to be on top of your brand, which was another question for me, if anybody doesn't mind me just dominating the questions at the moment, was, you know, you can spend the whole day. I mean, I know I like the idea of 5, you know, between 8 and 8:30, strive for 5 sort of thing, but you know, how much time you can get sucked into this, and, you know, you're not doing what you're really supposed to be doing, which is your job. You know, it's an interesting balance. How do you balance this?
You mean take time to build your brand and build your business? You know, this
But
is the part
maintain
about,
it. It's the maintenance it's the maintenance after building. Sometimes the building's the easy bit, but it's keeping it going afterwards, you know.
It is. And look, as business owners, you know, you can get sucked into this stuff. You can spend hours, you know, and start, well, I need to revise this thing and then this thing. And then, but at the end of the day, the reality is, how much money did you make? And how many, you know, new people signed on to be partners with you, or anything that needs to build your business. Now, this is something I actually was reminded of recently, and I'm glad I was reminded, even though I'm pretty good about being strategic, but give yourself a chunk of time, whether it's 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour, like a week. Don't just say 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon, I'll do marketing. Your brain, it's a different side of your brain when you're thinking about your professional brand versus maybe talking to a potential business client. It's just a different part of your brain. When I'm selling, I need to like put my whole morning aside to be selling, to be making phone calls, to be reaching out. It's a different, it's more of a, you know, run toward that finish line kind of thing. When I'm thinking about my brand, it's like a little bit of a more creative side of my brain. And I need to I can't just switch back and forth so fast. So I've learned to my, you know, certain mornings of the week, and I only pick 1 or 2 that I put 100% blocked off on my calendar toward building my business. And then maybe 1 or 2 towards selling in a week, so that I can take some metrics at the end of the week and say, hey, did I make some, achieve some goals? Did I bring in some new clients? Did I make some money? Did I help someone this week? Did I give back to charity this week? Did I look at, update my social media sites? I think I saw really quick, and I'm sorry, I haven't been keeping up with the chat room here. But yeah, Desi, you're right. It takes hours sometimes to make a post. So, hey Sam, how you doing? So, you need to really give yourself that time frame to do it. Otherwise, I don't know about you, I just can't go back and forth every few hours. You're not going to give it the time it needs, but you
Yeah.
do need to put it on your calendar or it won't happen.
Sure. Okay.
Does that
No,
help at
thank you.
all? Or
Yeah, no, definitely. Thank you. No, that's a very valid point. Queen, I saw your hand go up there.
Yes, what a wonderful presentation. I didn't even know the theme, but I felt that I need to connect. I haven't been attending, and I'm happy I did. And for me, what I've just done and so what you're talking about, that sometimes it's just to make things time for things, I'm very big on social media, but I must say that it's very overwhelming, in terms of preparation, as Susan is saying, that unfortunately one has to set time aside, I know whether you believe me or not, I make sure that once a week, there's something that I'm posting. I'm more comfortable with LinkedIn. The others I can't do because there isn't time. So I've got the content creator whom I'm training, who does the Facebook, the Instagram, and all of that. But I'm more comfortable with the LinkedIn. And my big takeaway with this presentation is the issue of doing surveys every 6 months. We haven't done that. And thanks for the learning. But what I'm noticing, people respond more to my personal brand than my business brand, yeah. I think Luz and Sean can test today. When I post something on my personal, only can I'm both personal and in business, the business done by our content creator. But I realize that I get more likes and more comment if I post personally on LinkedIn than on business, but it's working still. I found it to be strange, but it's working very well, because I take an effort to convert that into business, because I'll check out of all these people that are commenting or liking whatever is happening, who's the potential prospect for me, or someone that I just want to connect to learn, like yourself, and one leads to another. But what I'm starting, started personal as a personal brand, but later it moved to a business, so that's the experience that I'm learning about it. But also somebody gave me it's our client gave me an honest feedback about some of our weaknesses. She was interviewing me because they wanted to enter into the business with us, and I said that, Queen, we see you on LinkedIn, you're doing so well, Nana. But I feel some of the things you are saying, we don't see them on your Facebook. So what you're talking about, the reality and the alignment, that you have so much stories that we are sharing with me. But when I went to your Facebook page, I most of the things you're saying, I never see them. I had to go to a personal profile and I said, oh, then she's doing what she was telling me, so yeah, on point about alignment, but then it takes time. Like before I post, even if it's 2 or 3 lines, guys, I spend so much time to create those 2, 3 lines because I need to profile, why am I posting? What is it that I'm hoping to achieve? Am I doing it for charity or to attract clients, or both? So that I'm talking too much. This topic just excites me, So, but it does take time. You don't wake up and just post. You plan. So every week I have time aside to plan that what is it that you are posting for this week. Yeah, so basically I'm saying I can relate to some of the things that you're saying, and I've learned a lot at the same time, the things that I was not taking for granted, I took for granted. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Good for you. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with people you know, whatever you're attracting people because your brand, it really is your personality too. And if that's what's getting people to feel like you're genuine and you know, what is it?
Okay,
Starbucks.
I found this on the web. Where is it? Check it out.
What was that?
I don't know. I think Queen had her something on.
I don't know, sorry, yes. Sorry for that, it's me.
Was that Siri jumping in?
Siri jumping in. So, you know, Starbucks, you know, come in for the coffee, but stay for donuts and lunch. And, you know, so they make more money. And so there's really nothing wrong with if you've got something that's attracting people, that they trust you, that they want to talk to you and they're genuine. All I can say is just make sure you stay strategic, because it's very easy to go, oh, that's so nice. People like me. But the truth is, you've got to stay strategic. This is the professional side of you. You're trying to
Yeah.
build a business. So I like that you're trying to hook them in on a business sense and then convert things. It might not always work, but I think it does a lot of the time.
Yes, thank you.
That's a point. Sorry, Sam has also got a question, but if I can just quickly on that point that you've just said with Queen, is what happens if you're working for another company? I mean, that's the Queen and it's Queen's business. But if you're somebody else and you're working for somebody else's company, but you become the personality, how do you manage that? I mean, that strategic viewpoint perhaps needs, you know, yeah, just curious.
So are you saying if you're working for another company, but you end up becoming the spokesperson for that company?
But not necessarily officially, you know, people like you want to
The
hear what
brand
you
is
have to
stronger
say.
than the company, but they're working for someone. A personal brand is stronger for the company
how-
you're working for than the
Yeah.
actual company.
That's it. How
So-
do you balance the
But it's
personal
not
brand
your
if you're working for a
company,
company
yes.
that's not yours?
Well, if you're working for a company that's not yours, it's okay to have your personality out there, but it's not about you, it's about them.
Okay.
And that's the reality of it. Unless you're opening up your own business and people know you for that, then that's a separate thing you're building. But when you
Okay.
work for someone else and they're paying you money, your goal is to make them look good, not yourself look good. And
Okay.
so it would be no different. Like if it was your own business and I say shift them over to thinking of you more business, then this way you would shift them thinking about the company you're working for.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Some people might get a conflict with that. So it's just might just happen by accident, but yeah, but sorry. Anyway, Sam, you have a question?
Yes, Louise, I do. I'm sorry, I was making a transaction here. But my question is, I'm preparing to go to Exponential and I wanted to get from Susan some pointers and tips to, like she say, express my brand as I'm around these hundreds of people and also people I know. And I'm mute.
Oh, okay, so Sam, what is it you need from me? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't catch what you wanted me to answer you on right now.
I don't know if Sam's stuck on with the
Susan?
transition. Oh, there
Yes,
we-
Susan, can you hear me? Okay, I said I just wanted to get some tips about going to a huge drone conference next week about
Got it.
presenting our brand, networking, and staying on focus.
Okay,
Did you
thank
get
you.
it?
Sorry, I
Uh-huh.
didn't get it. So all I can tell you is that I have gotten to the point where no matter where I go and what I do, before I do it, I sit down and think of the 3 things I want people to say about me after they're done meeting me. People remember things in 3s. So again, if you don't tell people what to say, they'll make something up. And so you need to, literally, if I go to a local networking event or a networking coffee, even in my neighborhood, and there's going to be 7 people, before I go, I sit down and write the 3 things I want them to know about me. And then I make sure my conversation goes in that direction. If I'm going to there's going to be 100 people, I sit down and think about what are the 3 things I want them to say about me. When I was interviewed on the radio, I sat down and thought, what are the 3 things I want the listeners to say about me? I do this for every step of the day because that way I control as much as I can when I'm in front of other people. So just take some time, think through what is your goal? At the end of the day, what do you want them to say when you're no longer in the room? And that sort of takes me toward that finish line for each event. Does that help? That's okay.
That's great. That's a good one. I like that. Picking 3 things that you want people to remember you by.
Well, you know, and I've seen people even they'll go on job interviews, and a lot of them are online now. And we'll go through what should I say in this job interview to let people know who I am. And we go through all the words, but then I see what they're wearing, and what they're wearing doesn't say I'm a professional. It doesn't align with what they're trying to tell people. So you know, how verbal and nonverbal is important in when you're telling your story. You just have to remember that.
I couldn't agree more. I remember I did some screening for some employees a long time ago, and these guys rocked up in sunglasses and board shorts, and that was it. I'm sorry, maybe I'm old fashioned, but that didn't work for me. You know, and you mentioned something in your list of things to make sure you get them is a cover letter. That is so important. Don't just send, maybe today it doesn't apply because it's online applications these days, but a cover letter, even a cover letter with a brochure, I would imagine is as important. It's not just for a CV, but some form of introduction to say, hey, you know.
So yes, I agree. And actually companies are asking more and more for cover letters when you're applying to jobs. So you have to make sure that's aligned. And then I would recommend everybody has a bio on themselves, a 1-pager that when you talk to people or introduce yourself or send an email or even send a notice on LinkedIn, you just attach a copy of your PDF of your bio. And so that they have something they can look at when they're talking with you or corresponding with you. I had someone, I don't remember if I mentioned it at the talk we had last time, but that hired me to help them. They said, I've sent out 100 resumes and I'm not getting any responses, and I need you to look at my cover letter. And they hired me to do this. And in 2 seconds, I literally sent them back their money and said, you don't need to hire me. I know what your problem is. And it was that they were cutting and pasting all the same cover letters, but they forgot to change the name of the company.
Oh,
so
no.
I know this is like that one of those moments when everybody feels sick to their stomach when they hear this story, because like the address on this one particular one was addressed to Google. They were trying to get a job at Google, but the first line said, I'm eager to apply for this job of blank, blah, blank at Facebook. And so this was sent out to hundreds and hundreds of people. And this is what happens. We're all working so fast and so quickly that we're not going back. You know, I think Queen, you said, I look things over 1, 2, 3, 4 times before I post them. Good for you, because I will write an email and I put it aside, and then a few hours later, I reread emails before I ever send them out, because, you know, we're rushing and I want to make sure that everything represents what I'm trying to do. So it doesn't take as long. After a while, you'll learn to do these things to make sure your brand is aligned.
Yes. Oh,
Desi do you have a pink cast? I mean, I know you hurt your foot. She may not be listening right now.
I am listening, and I almost put that into the chat. I blinged my cast. I have a boot, and so we put bling on it. And yes, I put some pink bling.
Good for you.
Oh, Dizzy.
So while I have my mic open, I have a question, and it kind of goes along with a little bit towards what Sam was saying. So when we are going to a convention or something of that sort, obviously it's a business environment, but quite often, like myself, I have t-shirts that are pink with my logo and all of that. So how do you recommend going and presenting ourselves do you think it's better to just go with that business approach and dress business? Or is it okay to wear your company shirt?
I mean, if you're asking me, I say wear your company shirt. That is your brand. That is your company. That is it's got your logo on it, right? I think it does. So
Yes.
if it's got your, yeah, and it's got your logo and your company name, that is professional. You're wearing the
Okay.
packaging that sells your company. So yeah, I have that would be perfectly fine, but you have to know your audience. Now, if you're telling me I'm going to a convention of 5,000 lawyers and I'm pitching to them, I might suggest you wear a pink blazer or something, and then put your logo on it or something a little more buttoned up. But I see nothing wrong with that. I mean, even, Sam, I got to tell you, your picture, I love that new picture of you with the drone. It really, it's your, I know purple is one of your colors, and it really tells a story about who you are and what you're doing. So I just think that every little detail does lead toward that story. And I think going to a convention and that is professional, wearing your company shirt. I think that even tells a better story because it looks like you're coming from this big company that, you have actual shirts made up for it. So.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a good point. I've seen someone else make a comment that, with every post you make, put your picture in it. People need to see you.
Yeah, and especially now, I mean, with, years ago, I would have never told someone to put their picture on their resume or anywhere. But now with LinkedIn and with that, people want to know who they're working with. They want to know who you are and see you. And I think that's a really good idea.
Queen's got her hand up there. Queen?
I just wanted to comment to you, Louis, because the branding already, what I'm seeing at the background, I'm going to engage you privately. How do you do that? I love your style. That's a brand in its own. Thank you. Yes.
I'm blocking it a bit.
No, it looks
This is an
good.
important brand, though. Come on.
Wow. Oh, I didn't even see that. I can't even listen now with that as well. Okay, town branding, good. I have some experiences with media houses. I find that some of the journalists that invite us, they don't have so much information about drone technology. So you mentioned something that you need to plan what are the messages that you want to convey in that interview or wherever you are, So I find themselves taking you in another direction to such an extent that in the last one, I became a bit unprofessional because the arrangement was that you're gonna talk about our services. We are into disaster management. We are into 4R with the young kids and unemployed youth, and so on and so on. But these journalists, you could see some of them that they don't know the content, but they I don't know how to say it, but he kept on asking me one thing about the disaster preparedness, to such an extent that I end up like imposing that you also do for to young kids, because I'm passionate about that. But she was not prepared, and she confessed to me after the interview that I meant to ask you, but I forgot. So how do you manage? Because people are listening, and he's not giving a chance. Was it okay that I end up imposing it in between because she was closing the whole thing without? So how do you manage that as part of your brand? But it's rude. You cannot respond to something that you're not asked for. But that was an opportunity for me to say.
Can I ask, was this an interview on the radio or on
TV?
TV?
It was a live radio interview. Radio, yeah. The one who planned this, unfortunately, got sick. Someone was replacing. But yeah, I was not too comfortable how the interview went.
Yeah. So I'm glad you asked that, because especially when you're doing live radio or TV, I have to tell you the truth. For years, I avoided radio. I would get calls to do it and I wouldn't do it. Even though I could speak to groups of 100,000 or 1,000 people I've had in an audience. I just didn't want to do radio for the very reason, like all of a sudden it's live. I can't change anything. And then I decided you know, this is crazy. I should do this. So I had my first radio interview, and exactly what you're saying, I was worried about. What if they never ask me the question I need them to ask me? Well, in media, it's called bridging. And that means that maybe, and you see it sometimes on TV when at news stations, they're interviewing someone and they ask one question, but then the person being interviewed answers a whole different question. And so they've decided, I am going to talk about this topic and I'm going to go there no matter if you ask or not. But bridging takes you there. So when I did my radio, I had little sticky notes all around my desk so I wouldn't forget the 3 things I wanted them to know about me. And so every time she asked a question that was not aligned with what I wanted to do, I would answer the question quickly. And then I'd say, but I also want to talk to you about, and then I immediately bridged into what I wanted to talk about.
Interesting. Thank
Excellent.
you. Okay. Bridging. Thank you. I'm glad.
Sure.
Excellent. I like that. Susan, I see we're getting close to 1/2 past the hour, which is a great shame. I've got a feeling we've all got plenty more to ask of you and share with you and hear from you. But I do need to make an announcement about the Women and Drones 7th Annual Global Awards. The nominations are now open. I'm about to stick in hopefully, hang on, bear with me a sec. There's a link and there's the details to these awards. The nominations are due on the 16th of June. Sharon, please jump in if I misspeak. But the ceremony is going to be held at the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum. And wow, I'd love to be there, I must say. I'll have to make a plan. But yeah, you've got, in terms of the nominations, it's for the Hall of Fame, the Women to Watch, Company Innovations, and Drones for Good. And we want to hear for nominations for Africa, for South Africa, Southern Africa, East Africa, West Africa, Central Africa, Northern Africa. I would like to see some more nominations coming in from this continent. Anything else to add there, Sharon?
No, you've hit it right on the head. And, you know, just for clarification, we've had a winner from, I should say, honoree from Africa, from the continent of Africa for the last several years. So it would be great to have multiple honorees from Africa, you know, for this year. And the fact that it's on the East Coast of the United States in Washington, D.C. Hopefully the travel is much easier in terms of getting there. And we would love to see you all in person.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thanks for these awards are so important, and it's just great. And what a venue, just brilliant. I think we got 2 minutes left. If there's anybody else who's got any other questions for Susan or wants to know more about the nomination awards, use that link, by the way, to see more information, and I think to also make the nominations. So please spread that news and let's get some more nominees from Africa in the awards. Anybody else got any more questions for Susan? Oh dear, Robin, so we got someone coming in very late, late in time. Is that your colleague? You were
Robin.
Oh,
Dear. Poor thing.
These time zones are challenging.
Hey, Robin.
Hello, I just got your message.
Ah.
I missed.
Well, unfortunately, we're closing up. Robin Grace is part of Women in Drones here in the United States. We've been working together, and she has launched an amazing business, and she's been amazing to work with. She is the founder and president of Golden Sky UAS Consulting, and hopefully, at least I'm introducing you to everyone, and I'm glad you shared it. And Louise, maybe I think you're videotaping this or taping this.
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Sorry I'm late.
Hi, Robin. Pleased you could join us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And I'm sorry I'm late, but at least it was recorded, and it would be great to maybe have some follow-up conversations and learn about you all.
Yeah, no, it'll be on the Women and Drones webpage, but I'll let you know as well, Susan, when it's ready to go. So yeah, so you can share. Okay, well, I kind of feel rude now, Robin. I'm sorry, but we're going to have to draw close to. Thanks for joining us, but goodbye. So sorry, but seriously, Anna, thank you for joining us. Perhaps come and join us again in June. We have this on the first Thursday of every month, just an hour before you jumped on. But Susan, thank you so very much for joining us and for all your invaluable advice and guidance. And thank you very much for your brand image sessions as well that you listed there as being available. Really, really appreciated your time, and that was really a good session. Thank you very much.
You're very
and thanks to
welcome. Thank
everybody
you for
else.
having me today.
Oh, great pleasure. Well, we'll bring you back.
Sounds good.
But yeah, but thank you everybody else for tuning in.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.